Lisandra. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I think you're hilarious, first of all. I love your content. And I was just thrilled when you said you would come on because I was like, I feel like we could have a lot of fun.
You're not fun. Yeah.
Before we get started, can you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself? And I feel like there's just so much to know. I know you're a comedian, you're hilarious. So a little more about that.
I'm from Puerto Rico. I was born there, lived there till I was 8, and then we moved from there to Ohio, of all places. And we bopped around a little bit, lived there for 5 years, then Florida. I lived in LA for a while, and now I'm in Atlanta. So that's like the shortest version of it all. I've been working as like an artist and performer. I knew I wanted to perform and be an actor and stuff like that when I was straight out of, well, and even in high school when I was a kid, but you don't do that in our culture. You
Mm,
just kind of get a job. And like my mom's a doctor. They grew up poor. A lot of immigrant families will do that where you like a creative job isn't a real job. And but I'm like, I just always kind of had a sense that like, well, I'm still gonna do what I want to do. But so I've been working in the creative world for a really long time in different aspects of it. I've done everything. I've worked in front of the camera, behind the camera. I've assisted people, especially in LA. Like I have a degree in art because I went back to school because I quit school in Florida when I was like almost done because I booked a movie and I
okay.
was like, well, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, see ya, suckers.
I'm like, "Dude," I had like 1 year left too. It was like
Oh
I
my
had enough
gosh.
credit, but I was like, well, for me, I was like, school's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be here anyway. So I was like, bye. I got my SAG card and then I moved with my boyfriend at the time and a couple friends to LA. And then I did end up going back to school because my agent kept telling me I was fat.
Oh my gosh.
It was a different time. But it turned out to be, I mean, in hindsight, everything always turns out to be a blessing, right?
Right.
But because I went to a school that was really well suited for me, Cal Arts, and I was supposed to be there, I got in as a transfer student because I had credits from
Yep.
before. It's a very hard school to get into, but I got in. They wanted me to be there for 3 years because that's how long they require somebody to be there to get a degree from them. I ended up only doing 2 years there because I applied for grade level adjustments. And so it was really, I worked my butt off to earn those, but
Mm.
I did graduate in 2 years. And then from there, I worked as a photographer. And then I didn't get back into like performing until 2019. And then started getting to stand up. And now I was creating content for other people for a long time. I don't know if you, because like I think a lot of us start the content game by where you can start making money immediately in the content creation world. And because I know I'm good at it, but it's by having somebody else pay you to do their
Mhm.
content for them.
Mhm.
So during the pandemic, I've focused a lot on creating like content that I can make content so then I could get hired. And then as soon as I got filled my books up, I stopped doing that. I stopped advertising that.
Yeah.
And then I worked for other people for a long time, making content, making memes and stuff like that. But eventually that just drained my soul because I was always doing stand up and all my stuff on the side, but I wasn't able to give it enough
Right.
juice, if you will. I had been posting comedy stuff on my own TikTok for a while, but then around the time of the election, and I was always kind of hesitant to talk about my political beliefs.
Mhm.
And especially with like women in comedy, people are like, oh, don't talk about that, just talk about X, Y, or Z. But
Yeah.
then the moment that I started talking about it and actually just being honest and just being more authentic to who I am and what I would talk to you about in person and what people know me as, that started resonating with people online. And then it just gave me more and more permission to be more myself. And
Mhm.
thank God for the platforms that we have that are able to like connect us with the people that appreciate
Mhm.
our voice. And so I feel eternally grateful to that. And so it's been encouraging to get a positive response to the weird way that my brain works. So I don't know the story, but that's kind of like the long and the short of like how one gets from like there's no direct path to
Yes.
something to get to anywhere where we are in life, especially when you're not like a pharmacist. You know what I mean? Where there's like,
Right.
okay, I went to school, I did this and I did. There's
Right. Going up the ladder.
some
Mhm.
career paths that are far more simple than the ones that just are unique. So that's
Yeah.
it's hard to describe how one gets to a path to especially like we all have different stories, but it's all there.
Yes. No, but I love the story of the journey of like how you get to a certain place because it's always kind of you set out for this path and you do your steps and it never works out that way. It's like this opportunity comes up and then you're like in a slump for a little bit and then you kind of move around. You're just kind of like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this today because this has always been my mantra, is that this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I mean that with the good things and the bad things.
Yeah.
So every time it really helps me sit in the gratitude when things are good, and
Mm-hmm.
also know that the bad things are going to go. This will pass. This will pass. This will pass.
I
This will pass.
know.
Because like I had a really bad year 2 years ago. It was so bad. And then things started getting better. And today I had like, I'm having this call with you. I was talking with my manager. I have a manager now. And then I was on the phone with, I don't know how much I can say, but it's like a group for a representative that I'm helping craft a bill. So
That's
it's like,
amazing.
right. And so that's insane,
Mhm.
right? I'm so grateful for these opportunities that I've been, because I opened my big mouth and I've said it in a way that resonates. Now I'm able to advocate for people like me
Mhm. Make a
and
change.
make a change and actually get in these conversations and talk about, hey, the problems that I face, the things that in our generation that we've kind of been duped on, like the ability to be able to speak to my experience that's different from the people that have come before. And I don't take that for granted at all. So today I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, but also this too shall pass. Like, so I need to
Yes.
be really grateful of this moment and really like celebrate it.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that because I feel like I'm so quick to like be on to the next thing. And I don't know if it's that like creative mindset. You get it? You're like trying to always go to the next thing. And even my husband will be like, sit down and like relax. And I'm like, I have to do the next thing. I don't know where that comes from, but it's true. It's this will pass. Like, can we absorb it?
Your sign, your
Virgo.
astro. I'm a Virgo too.
Are you? Oh my God.
Virgo.
We could make this a astrology podcast episode because I freaking love talking about astrology.
When's your birthday?
August 28th.
August 20th. I'm the 23rd. So I'm like
Oh,
0 degrees Virgo. Mira. Well, see, she's a Sagittarius, so she's a free spirit.
that's my moon sign.
That's my moon as well. I have Virgo sun, Virgo rising, Sag moon.
I am a Libra rising. So that's the people pleaser.
People pleaser in you. And I'm just still,
See, and I always attach myself to people that are like, I don't know what sign it would be, but the more like rugged they tell it like it is because I'm like, I aspired to be that. I still am like, hey, do you like me? Okay.
please love me.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so it's that Virgo thing, the perfectionist, like always striving to the next thing. And I don't think I discovered that though until like I was definitely not like that in school because I was not like, let me get all A's. I was not like that, but I always wanted to try things.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily that way either in school, where I wasn't like, oh, I need to get a straight A. And my siblings, I have 5 siblings. I have two half siblings, but then my two siblings that grew up in the house with me were all Virgos.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and my mom's a Virgo too. I know, what a crazy thing. But I think what we all have is a really good compass, a drive that I don't see in everybody. And it's just like a self determination that people are like, why are you so like, I don't know. We just have like our own standard. I see that a lot in Beyonce. But that's why
Wait,
every time I see Beyonce, I'm just like, girl, you're just like me.
yeah, we're
Except
one
for
and the
your
same.
Beyonce.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
you're
God.
Beyonce, but you know.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm meeting a soul sister. I feel like it's so hard to explain to my husband. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need it this way and I need to do the next thing. But I'm going to
Yeah.
remember that this too shall pass in good moments because I don't take the time to absorb it. And especially like the industry now that we're kind of, I don't really know how it works. Both on social media, but it's different kind of industries, I guess. But it's like the industry, it's like it moves fast. It's like all of a sudden this opportunity can come and it can go. You have to like absorb those good moments. And I feel like I'm so quick to be like, all right, cool, that was great. I got to keep going though. And I don't
Great,
stop
great,
to be like,
great,
this is
great, great,
awesome.
great. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Because the wins, we really do have to learn to celebrate them. Because if not, then I don't know how woo woo you are, but sometimes I do feel like if we don't celebrate those wins, then it's not like, because then they don't want to keep coming as much. It's like with
manifest. My shirt
yeah,
literally says manifest.
oh, that's funny. It's like when I'm on stage, I do stand-up comedy. So for me, it's the same way as training like the universe. It's you're training an audience not to laugh.
Mhm.
If you continue to step on the laughs and you don't let them continue, if you don't let them enjoy the moment, and if you don't stop, they'll train themselves to not laugh at you. Even though they're enjoying it, they'll be like, so then they can listen to what you're gonna say. So that's how
Mm.
I feel. That's why I'm like, okay, I can't step on the universe. I have to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good mantra. And like showing gratitude back. I feel like, yeah, no, I'm super woo-woo. I mean, I shouldn't say super because they're super woo-woo, but I'm woo-woo. But you know, like the right kind of woo. I would like to think. No, I love that. That's a great way to start this episode, I feel like. So I always like to start off with crazy stories or hot takes. You have a hot take. I feel like we should just dive into it.
I think that if you're really good friends with somebody, you should not ask them to be a bridesmaid. If you actually like your friend's bridesmaid, you shouldn't know. If you're in your 30s, especially,
No.
no.
Okay, how many times have you been a bridesmaid and what was the worst one, if you want to share? Or what was like the worst part about being a bridesmaid to
The
you?
worst part of being a bridesmaid, I've been a bridesmaid enough times that I have forgotten how many weddings I've been. They've gotten less in my 30s, but I will say that the worst part of being asked to be in a wedding is the having the obligations, the financial obligations, and the having to deal with people that are making different decisions than necessarily that I would make. So like
Yeah,
one of the last, like being involved in the group chat. Oh, the group chat.
the group
The
chat.
last wedding that I was asked to be in was a destination wedding, and it
Mm-hmm.
was going to be very expensive for me to get there, and it was going to be very hard. And like I could only afford to go for so many days, and then we ended up actually I was at the airport with all my stuff, and then my flight got canceled. And then in order to rebook it because I had to go to another country and then hop a little plane, I would have gotten there the day of the ceremony and then had to head back the next day. So
No.
I just didn't go.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad. And then now the bride doesn't talk to me anymore. But I'm like, listen, you know what?
Well, it was kind
That's
of
fine.
not calling your friend, well, ex-friend trash, but the trash takes itself out sometimes. Or maybe it just wasn't meant to be.
And the thing is, I've thought about reaching out to her too, but I just also don't feel like the connection was strong enough between us to really like go beyond that because I also feel like sometimes with when you ask somebody to be a bridesmaid, it is kind of a transaction. And you're asking a lot of that person, not only financially, but like emotionally, and for them to just be there for you. And there's a lot of things that you people require depending on the thing. But I've had people be like, okay, well, the expectation was that I showed up there and helped with labor of putting things together and this and that and that. And I'm like, so then you're required to go and add labor. And sometimes that's fine and cool. But then other times it's like, hey, I'm also like taking time off work, investing money into this. And I also would like to be able to relax and enjoy this.
Yeah.
But, and I understand that for some people, we're happy to do that for them. Like
Yes.
my sister, yeah, absolutely,
Hmm.
100%. But I think that the expectation of like, if you're over 30, there's people that have jobs, lives, limited budget, things that we're all at this point sacrificing a lot of things to be able to make it here. And like we all have such, can't speak for everybody, but limited budgets of time and money to be able to get to these things and to just unless I will not be in another way. I will not accept being in another wedding unless I know I'm just showing up and I'm going to be there and I'm going to be able to support. I'm going to do that. But
Yeah.
I just never, I've seen weddings where people just ask their friends to wear certain colors so that they can be in the pictures, and that's the vibe.
Yeah.
You're
That's
like,
what you're into.
oh, that's really a friend. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, I'm not asking you to plan some sort of a crazy vacation. Because then there's like the financial aspect of planning the bridal shower, the bachelorette party
Yeah.
usually is, and then that's so much money for your decisions.
Yeah. And see, and maybe this is my Libra coming out. You know, we're talking about Libra, people pleaser. I love being a bridesmaid. However, not anymore. I think I'm done. I've been in my fair share. I'm well into my 30s now. I don't foresee anyone else asking me. And if they wanted to, I'd probably be like, I'll just come as a guest at this point. I had no business, like in my early 20s, being in those weddings, spending that kind of money. No business.
I
And you
know.
feel guilty saying no. And I was that friend that was like, what do you need help with? Sure, I don't have a life outside of this. And I would be there for bridal showers. Like I would be paying for like food, you know, like all that stuff. And it's like looking back, I barely could have, like, I still lived with my parents at some of the times. It was rough.
It's bad. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sacrificing. One of them, yeah, it's just like there's so much sacrifice, there's so much time. And often it is to fulfill a quota for the bride, for the sides and the pictures and stuff like that. And sometimes it isn't, but sometimes it is. And you should really think long and hard before you ask people to be bridesmaids. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because I understand why people in their 20s feel like they have like a lot of really close friends and they all want to do that. But everybody in their 30s, I feel like, has lives.
Yeah. I was just saying to someone, I'm like, thank God I waited till my 30s to get married because I feel like if I got married in my 20s, it'd be so different. Like everyone's your friend. And I think I would have had double the amount of people. But like when I got married, the only time, I was like, we weren't into like the pleasing everybody. We were like, we're making a cut here. This is what we want. And I would like to think I was an okay bride to work with. For all my bridesmaids, I was like, if you don't want to come, it's fine. Like not to the wedding, but I was like, hey, if you can't make the shower, If you can't make the bachelorette part, it's fine. I won't hate you. Come wearing white to my wedding. I literally would not care about that stuff. But I've definitely have been asked to be a bridesmaid before where I'm like, oh, they want my help. They want me to like get crafty and do stuff for the wedding. And then you feel
Right.
used after it and you're like, oh, they don't even like want to like, they don't even want my friendship. They just wanted me as a helper. And that I don't
Yeah,
like.
the labor. And so that's where I'm just like, again, not all bridesmaid situations are created equal, but for the most part, it's a no for me, dog. No, I'm not interested. And I also don't think that you should ask that of people.
Yeah. I love that hot take because
Not
that was a hot
in
one.
this economy. Oh,
Not in this. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, so I thought before we read the crazy story today, we could do a little rapid fire. So I'm just gonna read two things that could happen at a wedding or something, and you just pick which one you'd rather. Okay, here we go. We're doing something new. We've never done this before. Okay, caught making out with a groomsman or caught texting your ex on the wedding day.
I'd rather make out with a groomsman.
Your partner wore a ring from their ex's proposal, or they forgot to get you a ring at all.
When they proposed to me, they forgot to get me a ring in this hypothetical scenario.
Apparently.
I'd rather them forget to get me a ring than to have something from their ex.
Yeah.
But also, like, maybe you should rethink marrying this person that forgot to get you a ring. Unless they were like really in the moment, they asked and they're like, I don't even have a ring. I just want to ask.
Right. Yeah, like a movie where that's just like right now I have to ask.
Here's a little piece of string.
Yes. Yeah. Let me tighten around your finger. Okay. Hot best man with bad intentions or awkward best man with a heart of gold.
At this point, a heart of gold, man.
Yeah. Wild bachelor party with photos leaked or steamy DMs from a guest.
See me DMs.
Caught hooking up at someone else's wedding or caught talking trash about the bride.
Oh, hooking up.
Your ex crashes the wedding or gives an emotional toast.
That I would give an emotional toast,
I think
or that he
this is a
does.
weird one. You give an emotional toast.
Oh, I'd rather give an emotional toast. Keep him far away.
Okay, last one. A sexy first dance or a full-on Magic Mike style groomsman performance.
God, they're both cringe. Ew. I guess I'd rather the Magic Mike thing because it could be funny than like doing a sexy dance in front of my family. That's weird.
It's weird. Well, speaking of, what are your thoughts on the garter toss?
No. What are we doing? Who's
I don't,
doing that?
that is one of my like I don't even know if it's a hot take anymore because I do like a confession thing every week. I would say more people than not say like no garter toss. That's so cringy.
So
I'm happy
weird.
to see it's going away.
Yeah. It's why?
I just,
No one
why
needs
would
to
you
go.
want your husband putting his head up your dress during your wedding? I just don't understand that.
No.
All right, we've got a doozy for this week. So let me just get into it. Feel free to stop me as I read, or we can react at the end. All right, here we go. It says, mother-in-law drama made my wedding a nightmare. Basically a book. Sorry. Okay. My now husband, let's call him Matt, and I met during the pandemic once it was safe to go out to restaurants and such, and we quickly fell in love. Because his family cares for two elderly grandmothers, they had very strict rules about socializing during that time. I had no problem with that, and Matt and I were careful to follow their guidelines. That meant I didn't get to know his family that well, and that's how I initially explained away all the red flags that his mom disliked me. I told myself maybe she doesn't hate me, it's just awkward because we haven't spent that much time together. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. Because my family was lower risk, Matt spent more time with my family, and they immediately clicked. So some dating red flags from his mom. She constantly trashed the denomination of churches Matt and I attended, and that my dad's pastor is a pastor for, even after I acknowledged her bad experience and tried to empathize. At Matt's dinner, she set the table for everyone but me. I got to stand in the kitchen? Okay, when I
What?
read something like that, I'm like, was he like, let me put a plate for you? He just let her stand in the
Oh,
kitchen because that's a red flag on him.
well, both of them. Yeah. Oh, no.
What? She interrupted me every time I spoke and redirected the conversation. That would get really under my skin.
Was she Latina?
I don't have those details yet. She raved about Matt's exes and their amazing relationships with his younger sisters and how much she missed them. How many exes? And just, apparently they're all just so great, but her. She refused to attend the church service where Matt and I officially joined, I'm guessing for marriage, because she was mad he left theirs. Context for later, in October 2021, my dad nearly died of COVID. The doctors were shocked he survived. Once home, He had to stay plugged into a wall oxygen machine. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Due to a shortage of portable tanks, he only had enough for necessary doctor visits. November 2021, Matt proposed. It was beautiful and surprised me during my family's Thanksgiving dinner. We were so happy. We looked at rings together, so it wasn't out of the blue, but it was still magical. We decided on a shorter engagement and set the date for April 2022. It was going to be a low-key, small-town wedding we mostly planned ourselves. We knew the quick timeline might keep some people from attending, but we were ready to be married. We invited his family to my parents' house to talk about wedding vision, financial contributions, dress shopping dates, etc. But we couldn't go to their house. It's 90 minutes away and my dad couldn't travel. They refused to come to us because they didn't want to hire a babysitter for their 14-year-old twins. Both grandmothers lived nearby. They wouldn't bring the girls either. It was either we had to go to them or it didn't happen. Eventually, we got them to agree to a Zoom call. At that point, you can just tell like someone like that does not want to be involved. And it's like, why?
That it's deliberate.
Yes, they're going to purposely put every kind of blockade for it to not happen.
Like the person that's being awful to you because they want you to break up with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's that like passive aggressive,
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah. The Zoom came, neither parent said much. His mom was on her phone the entire time. My parents gushed about Matt and said how thrilled they were to welcome him. His parents, yeah, he's great. Nothing about me joining the family. I don't even know how people like this deal with in-laws like that, because I would just,
I have opinions. I think that he sucks, the dude that she's marrying, because like I would have had if he hadn't stood up. No, I would see that as a huge red flag on his behalf that he's not at least at this point making it clear that there is a separation between how like because she hasn't gotten there yet. So I don't know if she's going to include this, but I would be. Why aren't you taking care of this? Like, why aren't you taking care of this information? This is like you and your mom. Your mom is literally mistreating me.
yeah,
You're just
like in
letting it
front of
happen.
your face, cutting me out. Yeah. At that point, it's like, I would be, yeah, you're right. I'd be more mad at him because I'm like, this is your family.
Speak up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay to treat anybody's because like he's treating her like that, but he could treat I mean anybody like that. That's messed up.
Yeah. And the way she wrote about the standing in the kitchen, it literally sounds like she was just standing in the kitchen while they all ate for his dinner. And I'm like,
Hey,
that would never be okay.
no, literally.
So she said, but hey, Zoom is awkward, so maybe that was why. My parents offered to pay for most things. His parents said they'd cover Matt's tux, a groom's cake, and the alcohol. Matt and I reiterated that we were planning a small, simple wedding. They said it's fine. It was painfully awkward. Everyone was relieved when the call ended. I felt weird about my relationship with his mom, but I still tried to include her. I invited her dress shopping. See, there's so many super nice brides I read about, and they have a bad relationship with the mother-in-law, and they still invite them dress shopping. I'm like, that's like a vulnerable moment to be changing in front of someone or showing something. Why would you want someone like that there?
It's an olive branch. I get it, but like,
Ah,
God.
yeah, it's harder when you're in it. Because of budget constraints, I wanted to shop before Christmas to avoid price hikes. I sent her a couple of dates and she declined both. There we go. One without explanation, the other because she was making Christmas cookies.
Oh no, but you know, it's creepy. The timeline for those.
So busy. Yeah. Has
I'm
to be
really
this
busy.
day.
I'm really busy.
Oh my gosh. So I went with my mom and sister and found my dress. I'd asked Matt's sisters to be junior bridesmaids and invited them to the shop too. His mom said to just send them the link for the dress I wanted. I did, and she complained about the hemline and designer but insisted she'd fix it for them after delivery. When the dresses arrived, she wouldn't show them to me until after alterations. I pushed and thank goodness I did. She pinned the hem up 4 inches too high. She was annoyed but adjusted them. They finally looked correct on the wedding day. Then here's a not so brief list of other chaos that she caused during planning the wedding. Okay, bridal shower takeover. She offered to host. I thought it was a peace offering. Made it a couple's shower, so Matt had to attend, introduced everyone, including Matt's best friend who couldn't come, but not me, to her friends and family who I had never met. Oh my gosh. Guest list battle. We wanted to cap the wedding at 100 guests total. She alone wanted to invite 100. I hadn't shared my severe anxiety disorder because I didn't trust her, but finally told them the cap was for my mental health. She looked me dead in the eye and said, I have anxiety too. It'll be fine. That's that like older generation that's like, we all had anxiety. We gotta carry on with our lives. Like,
Yeah. That's like my mom being like, Lisandra, no, you're not depressed. You just be happy, okay? Like, okay.
Okay.
I,
Press turn on the
I,
switch.
yeah, I'm like, don't cry. Just change it. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Open the
got it.
window. Go out in the sun.
Oh yeah, no, that's crazy. I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about just being happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really.
Thank you for that.
I have anxiety too. You'll be fine. That's crazy.
Hey, drama lovers, big news. My book, Here Comes the Drama, A Ferris and Sloan Story, is officially out now. If you've been following their wild wedding saga online, this is the full story, packed with messy twists, sharp banter, family chaos, and all the heart you've come to love. And judging by your messages and posts, you're loving it too. Huge thanks to everyone who's already grabbed a copy early and shared it on social media. Your support means everything. If you haven't read it yet, now is the time. Head to KristaEnnis.com/book or click the link in the show notes. It's available in both print and ebook. Grab your copy before the spoilers start showing up in the comment sections, because trust me, you'll want to experience every jaw-dropping moment for yourself. Later, she told people I faked mental illness to get my way. We ended up cutting guests from my side so they could invite extras. This, I would be really.
I hate this woman.
Yeah, I would be really second guessing the whole wedding.
How old did she say how old she is? Because she sounds young.
I
Dang.
know. She did
She
not. She
sounds
said
like,
it was a really quick engagement.
but still, she sounds like she's young.
Yeah.
She sounds like she's in her 20s at least. Because I feel like I wouldn't put up with that. But I might have put up with it earlier in my life.
Yeah.
I could see a time where I would be like, in my very early 20s, I dated a guy for 4 years, and I could see if his mom didn't like me, I would still try to be like, all right, this is the right thing I need to do. I still need to try to invite her. I still need to try to do this. And then I'd be mad at him, but I wouldn't have the communication skills and the like
Yeah.
confidence to be able to be like, fix your mother.
Yeah.
That I would now.
Right. And it's that awkward time of you're like becoming an adult. So you're kind of like still that kid, respect your elders. I feel like I was like that in my early 20s too.
Yeah. So I just feel like I'm reading it as she's younger because she's not standing up for herself in the way that I think that somebody in her later in life would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
What she's going through is it's abusive. The woman is walking all over her because she doesn't respect her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's thinking she's
Crazy.
not like good enough for her son, or it's the kind of
That's
person she's like putting her son on a pedestal, saying like he deserves the best and you're not it.
why. That's why I said he's Latino. That's what Latino parents do. Treat their firstborn son as the gold standard.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But also, it's also curious that they're not Jewish because that's what Jewish mothers do as well.
Mm.
And then they get mad. I mean, it's also different kinds of Christian religions where they really covet like the son,
That's very
and they're
common.
very particular about their flavor of Christianity.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I kind of got by the denomination thing. So if she's like very in her.
You don't want to be an Episcopalian anymore. Lutheran's not even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
isn't it all Christian? I mean, listen, guys, come on. But yeah, so it seems like an uppity.
Yeah. It's almost like she heard the denomination and immediately from that point was like, nope. And then just discounted anything else she said or something like that. It's like when they
Yeah,
give
I mean,
you a chance.
yeah, it's like if somebody, oh, they're a Republican, oh, or like, oh, she's a liberal, cool. I guess she doesn't care about babies or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
But you can make judgments for sure. That's crazy. What else did she do? Because so she like, do we have?
Yeah. There's a lot. So it says, gossiping behind my back. She told Matt's friends I was excluding her from planning. She never answered my texts about it. Joke's on her. Two of those friends are close with me and they spilled everything. Sabotaging the rehearsal. She told the wedding party I was overbearing for asking them to arrive 30 minutes early and said it was okay to come late because we'd start late anyway. Then she gave them the wrong wedding day timeline. If I hadn't sent backup info, they would have missed photos. Refused to help set up. She got mad that Matt helped set up the reception. She wanted him at their hotel to hang out. They wouldn't help at all because that's the bride's family's job. Okay. Cold as ice in the getting ready room. She ignored me the whole time, didn't acknowledge me when I walked in wearing my white dress, even though everyone else was emotional and excited. I'd be like, you can leave.
Dang.
Yeah.
On her wedding day.
This is bad.
It's bad.
Yeah. When I do like crazy skits and stuff, people are like, oh, this is so dramatic. That would never happen. And I'm like,
Oh,
no,
it
there's people saying it literally happens to them.
when I was in LA, I used to do weddings sometimes as a second shooter. The first shooter that I worked with would always be with the bride, and then I'd go with the groomsmen to get the secondary portraits. You see some drama, but not. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing. This is insane. But I mean, I guess I would have to be privy to all the other information, but you can pick up the vibes.
Oh yeah. I bet you can like tell like right away with a wedding if like someone's not meshing well.
The mother of the groom was like to the bride. I'd pick up on that and be like popcorn in my hand as I'm
Trying to get
taking
all
pictures.
the tea. Yes. Oh
No, that's
God.
insane.
Yeah.
But they got married.
How awkward. Yeah. All
They
right.
got married to her mother-in-law.
I know she's gonna have to deal with that the rest of her life, or however long she can put up with it for. Because at some point, they either have to cut her off, the mother-in-law, or they're gonna break. Because someone like
Right.
that infiltrating, like if they decide to like move or have kids or whatever they do in their life, she's
When a
gonna be.
family when a family member chooses their spouse and the spouse doesn't get along with the family, someone's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Usually people will choose their spouse.
You would hope. You hope.
Well, usually people would choose their spouse, but sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Especially not a weak ass mama's boy like this guy seems. Wow, he sucks.
I'm like not hearing anything about him, so I like want to reach out and be
Yeah,
like
he is.
more.
Yeah, like first of all, I need to know. I have so many follow-up questions about him. Like I need to know if he's an only child.
That's a
But
great
or
question.
he definitely seems like he's the only boy.
He's the golden.
Uh, if he's an only child, I guess it would make sense as to why the mom's so obsessed. But it's weird.
It's that crazy boy mom thing. It's like their first love and
Oh,
the trend. I was like on TikTok and it's like, no, you're not doing what you think you're doing right now. It's not
no, it's
okay.
giving weird. Stop. That's
Yes.
no.
Don't you
We're
want
not.
them to grow up and find someone or like be happy on their own, not rely on you the rest of their lives?
No, I want him to. No, okay, that's weird.
That's weird.
No,
Or do they mention a father either? Oh, they said parents. They did say
the
his.
parents when they had the Zoom call that the
Yes.
parents. So I think the mom's just a piece of work, and she probably has nothing else going on.
And the dad's probably just
Uh,
very passive because over the years she's been like manipulative like this and
Yeah, Gerard Carmichael has a bit right now that I just saw that he says like that everyone's mom is crazy. No, but like everyone's mom is a different kind of crazy, but everyone's mom gets crazy at a certain point. Like the group chat is weird with the mom and the siblings, and then the dad starts talking less and less. I feel like that's what's happening here. Like the
Mhm.
mom got crazy, and the dad probably is just letting it happen and just saying like 3 words
Yeah.
about the thing because he's just like disassociating.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not gonna get involved. She's gonna do her thing. That's how,
Yeah, let's just coexist.
yeah. All right. There's a couple more things that she did.
Oh my God.
Tried to sneak in an unapproved photographer. Despite multiple conversations, she tried to bring in her amateur photographer friend to shoot the ceremony. When my dad politely told him he could take pictures after the ceremony and at the reception, she later told people my dad screamed at him in the church. Victim mode, all of those, that typical person, like she's gonna be the
That
victim
mom,
mode, but
that
she's
mom has to be
solely.
Latina. That mom has to be. God. If she's not, I'd be so surprised. I know
I,
his name is Matt, which is giving white, but it might be a white dad.
the name's been changed, so.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of crazy white ladies out there that act like this too.
I know, I know, but dang, that's not exactly someone that I'm related to.
Yeah. Left the reception early to use the hot tub. Then told our friends she was having more fun in the hot tub than at our wedding. Tried to get them to agree. They didn't. She was upset when we didn't join on our wedding night. Oh, you want to go
Oh,
in the hot tub with your son and his wife on their wedding night?
that's disgusting. This woman is weird.
Weird. Insulted a precious photo. When we got our professional photos back, she saw a shot of my dad's hand on my back during their father-daughter dance and said it looked very creepy. That dance meant the world to me. We didn't think he'd live to be there. When we said the comment was hurtful, she doubled down. You're too sensitive. What? That would be it for me. Like one after the other. Why is she still in their life?
Dude, the fact that they're still trying to place, I'm even more angry at the husband. Every time that there's an interaction and she disrespects the wife, I'm even more mad at the
Yeah.
husband for not stepping in during this whole thing.
So here's a slight follow up at the end here. It says, Matt and I had to go to counseling specifically to learn how to handle her. Thankfully, he's now fully on my side. So I don't know where he was in all of that. And what was that boiling point where she's like, we're going to counseling or we're done kind of thing?
He was probably trying to play the middle, and because I think they're young. I think that they're in their 20s, and if they're in their 20s, then he was still trying to please both of them. And
Mm.
he was probably still being like, Mom, I know, but you gotta, and he wasn't being, but yeah, no, I'm glad they went to counseling. She said that they're still together.
Yeah, she says, in his defense, growing up with a narcissistic mother trained him to ignore toxic behavior as a coping mechanism. So they've learned a lot. They've done their work. He's incredible now, protective and clear on boundaries. She still dislikes me, but since realizing she's losing access to him if she's unkind to me, she pulls a halfway decent show of civility now. So it's the fake, like, just to get there. I don't know.
Never.
I mean, okay.
Well,
That is crazy. Because you hear about like the passive aggressive mother-in-laws, but that is like someone blatantly just being rude and not liking you for no reason.
I mean, I have a family member that's blatantly rude and doesn't like me for no reason, but like it's of someone that married into my family. But it's just, you do have to have boundaries. You do have to have boundaries and understand that sometimes you can't change someone's mental health status. That
Mhm.
person, like that woman, that mom, is ill. And whatever is happening says more about her than it does about this bride.
Yeah, 100%.
And they sound like they've taken the steps to make their world work and to communicate and to understand. And obviously they're still family, so they have to deal with her because that is his mother.
Mhm.
But hopefully people can take away from that, like, you cannot change somebody that doesn't want to be changed and doesn't see a problem with their behavior
Yeah. Oh,
and
100%.
doesn't have any empathy, doesn't have any ability to self-reflect. That's exactly what that woman is. And it's just like, I
Yeah,
think we all have known somebody like that. And not, I mean, no, we're not all related to them, but like you have to have your boundaries and understand that even if it hurts, because that hurts, that's so hurtful. It's so disappointing that your mother can't get it together for your wife.
yeah,
But
yeah,
good on also getting help and understanding like his triggers and what he's like been ignoring.
right.
Seems
I feel like narcissist is thrown around so much on the internet these days, but like if she's truly narcissistic too, she will never see an issue with herself. So I feel like the only way to either handle someone like that, what?
yeah, she's perfect.
Everyone else is the problem. She's a victim because he brought in this new wife that's like not right. And, they're hurting her, taking her son away or whatever.
You're stealing my son, you
Mm.
harlot.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. So I feel like the only way is to go through counseling and limit as much time as you can.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that was crazy. All right. I would like to end with like a confession from social media. I know we're kind of over on time. These are confessions people send me on social media. So, all right, I feel like this first one, I know how you'll feel about this. It says bachelorette parties should not be a week-long expensive vacation, just one crazy night of fun. What do you think about it?
Correct.
Correct. That is the correct choice.
Unless everyone is excited to go to a specific location. But I don't think it should be forced upon people. Gosh, I do like the thought of it being somewhere that is localish enough and cost effective, maybe even like a 2 days. A week is disgusting.
I've done a week long either once or twice, but it like the group that went were my best friends. So it was like we would have done a girls' trip anyways.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but I've declined a fair share that I'm
Yeah.
just like, I wouldn't know anybody else other than the bride. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend that money.
I was so sad one time. Like I cried because I couldn't afford to go to, I had just moved to Georgia and one of my very best friends in the world had the girl who was planning her bachelorette party was in a much better financial position than me. And so she planned it to stay at these like, and you should be able to have what you want, right? But they were like going to stay at the Waldorf. And so it was like very expensive. And I was like, if I'm not being honest, I'm like, that's so expensive for me.
Yeah.
So I was so sad. I was like, oh man, I can't be there. I'm like, this has been one of my best friends for 10 years. Like,
Hmm.
I can't be there because this is planning all this. And so it made me really sad. But then, like, when they got there, a hurricane hit. Oh, a
Oh
hurricane.
no.
Yeah. And then they ended up having to move places. So I was like, oh no, sorry to miss that, guys. Because I could only afford to go to the wedding because the wedding was also like the wedding was in Palm Springs.
Oh
It was
my.
beautiful. The wedding was beautiful though,
Yeah.
and like it was expensive for me to go to the wedding, but it was worth it. Sometimes it is really worth it to go to these weddings.
Yes.
Like my cousin got married in Napa. We had such a blast, and my whole family was there.
Yeah, I feel like if it's a good location and there's things to do around it, or if it's like someone you really love and care about.
And
But
I did do labor. I did help with some stuff, but because it's my cousin's wedding, but because I'm handy, but we were all still enjoying ourselves and just being in a new environment together and creating memories. So
yeah, I love that. That's what I love about weddings. Like family weddings are so fun too, because it's like I have like family all over the country, so it's so nice to all get together. But especially when it's like if it's a friend and it's like every part of it. I haven't personally been to one where it's every single wedding event you have to fly to, but I've heard of one where it's like engagement party, bridal shower, bachelorette party, and wedding that you have to fly to all of them. It's like, no, that's not happening for me. Not
that's
happening.
unreasonable to ask,
Yeah, that's yeah.
unless you're paying for everybody to go.
Oh yeah. If you've got boatloads of money and you just want to pay for everybody, well,
Taylor Swift, I can everybody hop on the PJ.
yeah.
Let's go.
In fact,
But
if she wasn't paying for people in her wedding, I would be actually pissed. Like
furious, furious.
at that
You're
point, yeah. My mother-in-law said that they would leave the wedding if all of their guests weren't invited to the reception. I was livid. Okay, then don't come.
okay.
And then here's another mother-in-law one. My mother-in-law treats me so poorly that I have decided to cut her off, and my husband doesn't get it. Ooh, he's choosing her over you then. We just said, if you don't choose the wife over the mother-in-law.
Yeah. Again, I think that the choice has to be made. And I will say this, that it sucks because maybe the wife could be in the wrong and the toxic one. You don't know who in
You
that
never
dynamic,
know.
you
Hmm.
don't know who the toxic one is. Because I know of the dynamic that I know of, the wife is the toxic one, but the wife was chosen because that's the mother of the children. That's the one that is going to mess with his life more.
Right. I've heard of that too, and that's
But I don't know, man. Family's messy and complicated, but I do think that when it comes to mother-in-laws and like the dealing with the parents, it is on the person whose parents that is to mitigate that boundary.
I agree.
It isn't on the spouse, no matter the gender, to make sure that they communicate and have boundaries that are appropriate to keep the health of the relationship. If that is their priority,
Right.
to make sure the marriage lasts, then that becomes your main family and main promise, and then you have to then make sure that your family gets it.
Hmm. Yeah, because I feel like so many of the discourse or so many of the issues happen behind the scenes where like the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law are talking and like they confront each other. And so then like the partner is nowhere to be found. So then they're relaying the information to him and he just has to take word for word and he's like, who do I believe? Now I'm like at a crossroad here because she's telling me one thing, she's telling me one thing. And so I feel like I see that a lot of times where it's like the communication then is just like it's not.
It's just a crazy game of telephone, man.
Yeah. Craving more wedding drama? Join my wedding party Patreon for Here Comes the Drama After Dark. Each month we dive into juicy confessions, wedding 911 advice, and the spiciest hot takes. And of course, we always end with a wild wedding story reacting in real time. From bridesmaids to groomsmen, mother-in-law madness to photographer fails, every month has a new theme. Patreon members get early access to all regular episodes and an exclusive chat to discuss the drama. Don't just hear the drama, be a part of it. Join now. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a crazy story. Thank you so much for coming on and reacting with me.
Yeah, man. God, I'm so glad I'm not married.
I was
Uh,
saying, I got really, really lucky. Like, I knew people had issues with their in-laws, but until these stories started rolling in, I was like, this is insane.
they're like, no, it's insane. And I feel like, you know what I'll say, my mom, because I have a very traditional mom, and in the sense that she's always wanted me to be married, and like the fact that I'm not married used to be an issue, but then she was like, one time I recently, because I imprinted this in my memory when she was like, I'm proud of you for always knowing when to walk away from a relationship when it no longer suited you or when it no longer served you. Because I have people in my family who did get married and then they're divorcing, or now people are estranged and this and that, like because it's a toxic dynamic that they lock themselves into. And she's like, no, I'm actually really happy for you that you always chose what was right for you and you are just not settling for a life
Mhm.
that doesn't excite you. Man, at this point, I'm not settling. I'm not like, it's somebody that has to add to my life, period.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I think it's just like this newer generation too of like, yes, wedding anniversaries can be celebratory and stuff, but I don't look at it as like an accomplishment in a different, I don't know, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like people can say like, oh, I've been married for 40 years. I'm like, that's great. but that doesn't actually show your relationship because there's so many, how many people are married for 40 years and hate each other or they're having two
Literally.
different lives,
Literally.
you know? And so I was never someone, I talk about this, but like I was never
Yeah,
someone
been
that was like,
together
my
for
goal
10
is to get married
years.
and have kids. I never was like that. I was like, I want to get married once I'm like established a little bit more in my career. I want to be in my 30s. Yeah.
And then we'll see what comes. Yeah.
I just feel like so many people in these stories that we hear, it's like they just want to check the boxes. And it's like, that's all well and good. But then 30 years down the line, are you going to be happy? Are you going to
But
enjoy your life?
with the patriarchy, man, people trying to always center that as the main goal in our lives. And I also think I've just had a natural sense of that not being the main focus of my life
Mm-hmm.
from the jump. I never let fantasize about getting married or having kids, even though I played with baby dolls and all that stuff and I had crushes on all the boys, but like I just never thought that. It was just not a natural way for me to be to
Mm-hmm.
want to center my life around men because I
Yeah.
think I have such like even though patriarchy exists, I've always only looked up to women that were really strong. And so I was like, oh, I want to be like them.
Yeah.
And none of them were relying on men. And also, just by example, all the people that are smartest in my life are women.
Mm.
The people that are the most healthy, extraordinary in terms of showing up for their friends, showing up for their families, showing up in their careers, showing up for themselves. They're all my girlfriends and they're all like my mentors and the people that I look up to. So I'm cursed with heterosexuality, which sucks, but that is something that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
But in that, with that being said, that's why I'm like, oh, it's no trouble for me to like not have a man in my life because besides that, of course, like the heart piece, but I love myself. I have a dog, like there's other ways I'm okay waiting for that because I have so much love with everyone else in my life. So when I do meet somebody, eventually it's not coming from a place that of a super empty cup that needs to be filled. And I do
Mhm.
feel like men don't have that a lot.
Yes.
Men don't come from full cups often. Some do. There are
Well,
some.
and that's why
Uh,
there's, like the loneliness epidemic, where the
yeah, which
male
is
loneliness epidemic is because they're like, wait, women can't survive without us. Wait, what? They don't want my money. It's like, no, we can make our own money.
then they also don't want to give money now.
Yes.
What do you bring to the table? I need you to provide free labor for me, and I also need you to pay half the bills.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you need to also have my kids, and you also need to look really good.
Yeah.
That's really fun. It makes modern stuff really good, but it really does make you appreciate the great men in our lives because I do know some great men. So whenever it's like the appreciating it when you see it,
Mm.
even if it's a friend of mine that's in a relationship, I can look and be like, you know what? Hey, he exists and he is a good man. He is in a good relationship. He treats her well. I almost hang on to that energy to be like, yeah, that's the blueprint. It's almost like hanging on to the proof of concept. And you're like, so it does exist. And there are people that do have good relationships that does, I don't making
Yeah.
sense, but it does exist.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
that's why I know that I don't have to settle for something that's not that because
Hmm.
that exists.
Yeah.
And I've seen it.
I never had to explain to my husband that my career was important. Never once. Like he always knew
Period.
I was that kind of person and I was like, this is the life I live. He washes dishes probably more than I do. Like he does more of the traditional. I love that. I've never had to say like, I don't know, that's just
I said a I said a friend of mine, he just like made a response video to somebody saying that women need to be more traditional. And he goes like, sorry, hot girls are gonna do hot girl man. Like, what are you gonna do? If you want a hot girl, she's gonna do hot girl stuff.
yeah. Yeah. a
So
hundred
she's
percent.
gonna she's gonna be out, she's gonna look good, she's gonna like go and have friends, she's gonna travel, she's gonna want to do this. Sorry, if that's what you want, she's not gonna be submissive.
Yeah. They
Well,
don't
she
think about
can
the
be
whole thing.
in certain she can be submissive in certain aspects for sure, but like you can't come on.
Yeah. No,
They
100%.
like want Sydney Sweeney in the prairie. You know what I mean? Like, no.
Yeah, they want the look, they want their list of things, but then they don't want to feel emasculated by anything that they do, right? So they can't
No.
make more money than them. They can't have their own hobbies or passions. But
And
then
you
if they
also
sit
can't
around
get
on their
more
butt, then they complain.
yeah, and you can't get more attention than them either.
Yeah. I used to work for a mom company years ago, and this is before I even had my daughter, but like I was in the mom groups and stuff, like managing for the moms and whatever. And the number of moms that would say like how their husbands would come home and treat them. They would work these like 9 to 5 jobs and expect they could just come home and put their feet up when they've been with the kids all day. And I was like, may that life never find. I don't want that.
Literally, I think that's why I don't have any desire to have kids and be with a family unless it's right. I used to work as a nanny a lot. as my part-time
God.
job. So like I've babysat, I've been a personal assistant for like a family assistant. So where I was with kids, it very intimately with other people's marriage and family dynamics. And I'm like, cool, no,
Not for me.
this is not for me. Not for
Yeah.
me. There's so much.
Yeah.
But then there are some that are good. And those you're like, oh, that's the one. They're like, if it happens, may this kind find me, not that one.
Yeah. But the scary thing is, not to scare people out there listening, but the scary thing is you don't know necessarily what kind you're going to get until after you have
Until
kids. Like,
until after.
yeah, you
Yeah.
see qualities. Like, obviously, I married my husband, so I knew what qualities he'd have, but you don't know until the baby comes. Like, oh, are they going to
Literally.
whimper out and be like, this is too much for me? Or are they going to step up?
You
Because
don't know.
you don't always know, that's the gamble of,
Yeah.
I guess.
But also, I think that knowing that you have someone that you have a good communication base with, I think always helps because even if they're tapped out, if you have somebody that is healthy and can know how to work, like identify what's happening with them and is willing to work on them. Because if they do, oh, this is a lot, I need to tap out,
Mhm.
maybe we can come up with a way that, okay, on Sundays, I get to go do this thing for 3 hours. So then I don't feel like I'm tapped out and
Mhm.
like you come up with a plan, but that's somebody that's like healthy and dedicated to the family. But like, hey, this is, I just need to be really honest. This is like really rocking my system in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why when you choose somebody to be a lifelong partner and to have kids with, that's a huge deal. Like looking for those green flags are, I think, are super important. And a lot of the times people push through those and don't collect that information because they're like, oh, they'll be fine. You make a lot of assumptions about how you think people would act based on how you would act
Hmm.
in those circumstances. And that is so wrong.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
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 Especially with
Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk about
especially
this
with
stuff
men.
forever. I feel I am so passionate about that kind of stuff, but I feel like I always end these episodes with like getting on some kind of tangent about something, and I love how like it just turns into it because I was telling you before we started recording, it's like people hear Party Planner by Krista like as my like account name, and they're like, "Oh, she's a wedding planner. She talks about weddings," and I'm like, "It's so much more than that, people. It's so much
Oh,
more than
it's
that."
so much more.
There's so many
There's so much drama. There's so much like
it's the
dynamics when it comes to these
dynamics.
things. It's wild.
Yeah, like we really get into like the boundaries of a lot of the like the mother-in-law thing can start from the boy mom dynamic. And so like that, where does that come from? The patriarchy of bowing down to like the son or that kind of thing if
It's so
he's
much.
never done anything wrong. And yeah, there's so many subtopics. But thank you so much for coming on. I loved
Of
our
course. Thank you.
banter, chatting.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell everyone again where they can follow you, find your content, and then anything exciting you're working on?
So I am on Lisandra V Comedy on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, even Facebook and Blue Sky and the YouTubes. I'm on all of them, the same handle. I have some shows coming up. I don't know when this is going out. I'll be in Chicago, New York, and Denver doing some stand-up comedy, but most of the time I'm performing here in Atlanta. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Excited. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.